Free-to-players constantly keep asking me questions on my videos to do with their accounts. What should they do on their formations that they're running? What would I upgrade if they're running this archer march, or this type of pikeman march, or this swordsman, or these archers or swordsmen in Ramsey's case, right? Or even the cavalry of Lubu, right? And the one thing I've always noticed, a common theme that many of these guys do, is one mistake constantly, and it's something that I need to kind of address, kind of help you guys on, because it's gonna save you so much time and actually make your investments worthwhile on your account. And many of us experienced players know where I'm going to be going with this, because we do this already on a daily basis. So smash that comment and subscribe, and let's dive into, as I'm going to kind of put bluntly, focus. So a lot of players, what they try to do is they try to make 5 formations on their account so they can have a bit of everything, and obviously try to use it in like Apex Arena, and then use them in different events, and obviously in PvP. But a big problem about that in this game is it's not designed like Rise of Kingdoms, Call of Dragons, Affinity Kingdoms, Whiteout Survival, where you are going to be trying to have multiple formations in your lineups, trying to do as much as you can. The whole purpose of this game is focus, and this is the big issue many people have. And you can kind of see the difference of focus on myself on certain formations here, right? I have my good old cavalry, 24.4 million power, as well as my kind of like rally in, Paris setup, which is at 26 million power, right? So I'm almost actually pushing now to 30 million troop power, which is massive. When you compare this to anything else, it's always below or hitting 20 million, right? Even obviously a really budget Cyrus build, 16.5 million. This troop power means everything in Age of Empires Mobile, because this is what actually determines how strong you are on the open field. It's not necessarily how much power your actual account is. You can be 134 million power like me, and the difference is on someone who has 134 million power that's focused on their accounts, they could have troop power way more than mine, right? Because I'm at 26 million here from transitioning, as many people know, for the last 3 to 4 months, going from archers into swords and cavalry. And in that time, I've got to 26 million troop power compared to where everything else was, as you can see, around the 20 million power mark, right? Which is a really big accomplishment. Even obviously my cavalry at 24.4 million. And this is because I have focused on this one troop type. So the first thing, as a free-to-play player, that I need to tell you is, when you're asking questions about your account, if you're going to be asking me about 2, 3, even 4 formations and so on, I'm going to tell you straight away, watch this video, because it's you that needs to focus up on a lineup. You need to go in your hero pool that you've unlocked, and you need to decide what you like the most, which you enjoy the playstyle the most. Many players, including myself, would recommend, if you're a free-to-play player, you should be using the warrior cavalry tree, just because this is just such a good kind of formation to build around, and for such little investment, it does ridiculous damage. It really does, right? But if you didn't want to go for this, that's perfectly reasonable. But whatever formation you have decided to go down, you need to nail it. And what we mean by that is, so if we go to, obviously, my Paris march here, and just kind of showcase it off, what we've been able to do is obviously make sure that you've got your skills equipped, make sure your skills are fully maxed out. That's completed. Good. Now you need to start going on to the next area, right? Get your gear done, right? Get this to level 80, get this to 2 stars, get this to 3 stars. Repeat it for your, chest piece, then do it for your braces and do it for your legs, right? Pace it all. So once you got this to 3 stars, you got it to level 80, start saving up to get your 4-star pieces of gear done. And then you can start working towards the new mechanic, right? Which is the mythic gear. In the same breath, you can start working on your gems, right? So you can go on into these gems, work on just the gems needed for this match. So if you've got a bunch of extra health gems on other formations that you don't use because they're not your main formation, I'm telling you, get rid of them and start fusing them. Get them all onto your main formation, because if you don't, you're going to start falling behind like many people are, right? And this is just on your hero page. This goes outside of that, which many people forget. When you go into your game, everything that you build, everything that you research and technically do is towards something, right? So a good example of this is your research, right? So when it comes to research, you might do your castle and make sure you do your castle tree all the way through as you can. But when it comes to the actual like main tech tree, your military tech tree, when you're pushing through all of this type of tech tree, and you can see that even I've done it now, you always want to prioritize your main unit first. So if you're playing swordsman, make sure you do swordsman first. If you're playing cavalry, do cavalry first. If you're doing pikemen, guess what? Do pikemen first. Then do archers first if you're doing the archers, right? Whatever you do. And then you do it in the orders of the, you know, the most used to the least used. So when you get to this stage and you're picking your first T8 unit, you got to think you're going to be going down, for me especially, I'm going to be going down the T8 swordsman. But you might be going again, T8 cavalry. You might only go down T8 pikemen. And you want to tunnel vision and focus on that, because by getting that done and getting those stats towards you, you're empowering your heroes even further, because you're giving them stronger units to be using, obviously, in the open field, right? Or in rallies, for example. Then you got to think now, you've got your mercenaries, right? And your mercenaries add up too. And what many people forget is, with your mercenary tree, you want to start focusing on whatever your main troop type is. So as you can see, you're going to eventually have something similar to this, where you have 5 trees completely done, and then you might have another one just kind of whatever needed to get into stage 2. But as soon as you get into stage 2, as you can see, you are only focusing on one of these tech trees. You're not trying to go all spreadarooner, because any time wasted, for example, even if I'm using cavalry at the moment, any time wasted on this area is basically time gone and delayed on my major power spike, or my main unit type, which is swordsman right now, right? I'm playing tactician swordsman. I'm loving Paris. I can switch to Ramses at the same time. I love it. I can just do what I want and have rally and open field capabilities, right? So I'm playing swordsman. So all of my tech, all of even my buildings now are going towards that role. And what I even mean by buildings is, as you can imagine, you got your swordsman barracks. Obviously, leveling them up just gives you more training, as many people will know. You get more training speed and capacity, which is cool. But the real kicker is when you do start to get into the late game and you unlock renovations, because renovations give you stats. So this is giving me already 20% swordsman defense. If you compare that to any of my other renovations, look, my pikeman barracks is 1. My stable's only 3 because I've just started to do it. And as many people know, I used to be an archer main, and that's why my arch rate is 3 as well. Otherwise, this would be level 1, armor pikeman would be level 1, right? Just in this example. So you can see why even your buildings that you work towards can go towards that unit. And once you've done stuff like your swordsman barracks, you'd be thinking, Sneakyy, what should you do? Well, you got to think, well, your hospital, even though it's a really cool building, when you actually, if it will let me click on it, go to renovate it, it gives you all unit type damage reduction. So by renovating this building, even though it's very costly, and this is only from level 2 to 3, you got to think you're going to go 3 to 4, 4 to 5 as well, the amount of resources this is going to cost, but it's going to give you, look at that, a nice 10% damage reduction at max. And that's going on to your swordsman, right? So again, anything that's really powerful like this that you can imagine that's going towards your main unit is a plus. This is what always you want to do. And you're going to think, as a free-to-play player, it's probably a bit hard for you because you want to, you know, try and use multiple things, right? And I get that, I really do. But that's maybe where you play in your main account. You have maybe a free-to-play match that you start off with, trying to earn all your universal medals, and then try getting into a pioneer server. As soon as you get into a pioneer server, start using different formations, try different ones out, and see what you actually like. Watch some guides from myself, Sigam, Timmy, Soldier Boy, you know, Tito, everyone, right? There's so many creators. Check out the guides, see what they say, how to build it, and then just work towards that goal, right? Because everything in your account is working towards basically making sure when you go into battle, your troop power here is as high as possible, because it's that troop power that makes a difference. If you're wondering why you're still getting rolled, it's probably because your troop power, and you're gonna need to start working towards your research, your gear, your heroes, your facilities, your buildings, right? You need to start working on your signet rings, everything, just towards that one formation, because you got to think, anytime you start to waste any of your fine, gold here for your signet rings on a new march or a different march that you're running, well, you got to think those fine gold resources is just delayed potentially a level 20 spike here, for example, or it might have delayed a level 30 spike potentially in the near future, right? So you've got to think about the actual delays that you're costing yourself, because it's these delays that's making you fall behind. And if you fall behind, that's where you're feeling like you are getting rolled. So you got to try and get back on track and start focusing it up, because especially with this latest update, as many people will say, and I do agree, like, it does really want you to tailor to one formation, right? Because if you are able to 4-star your gear here over time, because you can see I've only just done it recently on these 2 pieces, which is nice, and I'm on the way to doing it even on another piece of gear, right? Not on the signet ring, but on the piece of gear. So we are working towards it. We've only got 16, but we're getting some more literally today. But the whole point is, this is like, once you get these steps done, you're working towards that mythic gear, and that mythic gear is increasing, as you can see, your swordsman health bonus, your unit capacity, even your damage taken reduction, right? And this is going to cross for your helmet. You go onto your braces, you're getting your damage bonus here, and you get extra skill damage dealt against the units you counter, right? So it's those stats now that really are going to matter. So if you can tunnel everything into that one march, you're going to notice a massive difference in your performance, honestly, compared to spreading thin that many people do. And it's the number one mistake many people do when they're playing this game, because many people think that they can mirror what the big super spenders do, what the big whales do, what the big krakens do, and that's not what you're meant to do. They've basically done what we've done, so they've got the option to unlock all the heroes, right? So that's kind of where they're at. They've got the tech done, they've got the buildings done, they've got the signet rings done, they've got the gear done, right? Everything's done for them, so they have that luxury. But for us, mere mortals, well, we've got to go on that journey. We've got to work towards our buildings. We've got to work towards our tech, and then pick the main formation that does the best job potentially in the category that we want to play. So if it's swordsman, cavalry, pikemen, archers, you pick whatever one, and guess what? You just go all in on it. All in on one. It's literally, that is it. No messing about. If you mess about, guess what? You're going to be fucking delayed, and you're going to be slowed, and you're going to get basically steamrolled, and it is what it is, unfortunately. So hopefully today is a wake-up call. Maybe a lot of you guys watching this obviously are going to thank me for, preaching this out again to the masses, because let's be honest, it needs to be said again. And if you do what you're able to do, honestly, you will, over the 3 rounds, by the way, of a Stellar Dynasty season, because many people forget that a Stellar Dynasty is round based. Over that entire rounds and so on, you'll notice, look, you will get everything based in luck. This is what I'm doing today. I'm going to get probably to 500 or 520 easily today from the next round. And even with the achievements, like, the only thing I've got to do is the next 29, which is going to be easy to do this season, and get the last remaining big bits. I've already got the 2 billion, so that feels really good on the resources, getting the 2 billion back, so I can start pushing towards some meaningful upgrades again, I just can imagine. So yeah, this is all you gotta do. Focus up. As you focus up, you will get rewarded by being able to do more in events, and that's just the whole purpose of the game, unfortunately. And it is going to be rough. Anyone will tell you, as a free-to-play, it is going to be rough. You need to put in more time. You need to show up to every event. If you miss something, you will be set back maybe a couple of days, maybe a week, depending on what you're, missing out on the current set. It is what it is, unfortunately. But you've got to focus. If you don't focus up and you're doing something here and you're doing something there, I'm sorry, but you're going to be a lost cause by the end of your project. I'm going to be honest, you will be. And I've said it many times on my channel, and I thought today, let's just do a video literally dedicated to that. Get you guys fully woke up, right, to the reality of the situation. So with that said, you know what to do, guys. Smash like, comment, and subscribe. Until the next video, stay safe, stay sneaky. Peace out.